Alright guys, what's going on? So, I just got back from seeing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the latest Spider-Man movie, which was incredible because it was animated, and never in my dreams I thought that we would get an animated Spider-Man movie like in the theaters. I always assumed like any animated Marvel movies was just going to be a direct-to-video. Well, surprisingly, this has been my favorite movie of the year. I was not expecting that, especially, alright, I mean, I'll be honest, I really loved Teen Titans Go. I didn't think any movie was going to top Teen Titans Go of their ridiculousness, but this one really topped it. I really enjoyed it a lot. So, Spider-Man Into the Universe. This is a movie that's really a origin story for Miles Morales, that Spider-Man. Admittedly, I really don't know that Spider-Man actually too much, so I can't really compare the origin from what it was in the comics. I just know from this movie and the comics, obviously, when he first becomes Spider-Man, he does not get visited by other Spider-Men from other universes. I do know that. So they've kind of combined his origin with some elements of Spider-Verse into this movie, but it all works out well. And what really works out well is actually the animation and the style. The animation wise, like, it's CGI. The fluid of the animation is kind of a little janky. Like, it feels like there's some frames missing, which is intentional. And so, like, I want to say, like, for the first like 10 or so minutes, like, I really kind of like noticed that like it was just very stop motion like, but then after a while it just blurred from me. Like, it just like I just didn't even notice it anymore, which was like really cool because like I just got really sucked into the movie, and I really like that animation choice. Now, what's great about like the art of the actual movie, like, it looks like it's from a comic book, and if you look like into the details, you see like the little dots that like from old comics, like when they used to print them on paper, they had to print them in like small little dots to make the color and the images together, and that's a really cool detail that they did. And especially the background, there's a lot of blurred lines in it. In fact, the first time I saw this movie, yes, I've seen this movie more than once, I actually saw it in 3D, and at first I thought the 3D in the theater was like messed up, but then when I went to go see it the second time, in 2D this time, I noticed that the lines were still blurred. So like it was still like kind of double lines and everything. So it was actually a really cool design choice. Just really sucked when I first saw it in 3D, and I just really thought there was something wrong with the glasses. Like, seriously, I tried to like clean my glasses like three times like during the movie, and then I was like, that's great. So right off the gate with this movie, they even do some references to just various Spider-Man media, which is like fantastic. They show like a callback to the original cartoon. We even hear, I think it was Wilson Fisk actually starts humming the theme song to the original cartoon. We see like just a small snippet of the intro. We see that famous upside down kiss with Spider-Man and MJ from the very first Spider-Man movie. They even reference the infamous dance scene, like shot by shot, except it's Spider-Man and not Peter Parker in black emo clothes. And from Spider-Man 3, and like they just go and like just play it off. I really like all those Spider-Man references that they do one thing I didn't, and like I don't really get into much the current comics. That's actually why I don't know too much about Miles Morales or some of the other characters, but there's a lot of references, especially at the beginning of the number 42, and I don't know what that like means. So if any of you guys like know what the significance of the number 42 is, let me know, because that was something I totally did not get. Other things, like pay attention to the signs, the restaurant signs, the people's contact list. I mean, there's just a bunch of contacts and names in there. We see like Ditko fly. We see Bendis in there. We just see a lot of references to famous Spider-Man authors and artists, just from various media, just kind of fly by there. That's actually really cool attention to detail over there. So like I said, this movie is really Miles' story.
I think you're gonna be a bad teacher.
But Miles is not the only Spider-Man that's in this movie. In the beginning, we find out that Peter Parker, he's still Spider-Man too, and like he's actually aged quite a bit. Now, unfortunately for Peter Parker in his universe, things don't really work out well for him, and he's kind of lost his superhero way. And like we see that like he's down in his like probably like in his worst possible moment. And when he gets into Miles's universe and they finally meet, he is actually kind of reluctant, but he does eventually like mentor Miles so he can like be the next Spider-Man. And then also we find out is that Peter is not the only Spider-Man from another universe. We also see Gwen Stacy in there as well, and she is her Spider-Woman persona, or better known as Spider-Gwen. In this movie, like they have a comic book cover. They label her and the comic book Spider-Gwen, but she refers to herself as Spider-Woman. And so that's our three main protagonists. Now there are actually other Spider-Men out there. I didn't really see much of the previews before I seen this movie, so you guys might know which ones are out there, but there are the other ones just vary in like just animation style, and like they should not work, but with the nature of this film, they still kind of fit in, which is actually pretty cool.
I'm Gwen Stacy.
How many more Spider people are there?
One of the characters looks like came straight from a Looney Tunes cartoon. There's another character. This character is like from an anime, and then another one just looks like came from like a 1920s like newspaper. And if you hear the descriptions, you probably can figure out which of these characters they are. Like when you see them, like they kind of stand out. So one thing I really like about this art style is that you can pause like any moment of this movie, and it looks like it belongs like on a page of a comic book.
Wait, why is the voice in my head so loud?
Which is like fantastic. And in fact, the point, once Miles gets bit, we actually see like comic book frames, we see like the thought bubbles, we see this a bunch of like comic book references. There's even some scene transitions when like they just show like a page turning, which is actually really cool. Like I really like the attention and detail they did to make this look like a living, breathing comic book. We got some Spider-Man villains in here as well, because, you know, these spider people, they gotta fight something. All the villains that we see, we've seen them from various cartoons and comics, and even some from movies.
What's that?
Most of these characters are vastly different from what we've seen from other Spider-Man media. And now I will say something where this movie just does kind of falter is the villains. They're very one note, and I can understand why, because we got like so much characterization with the heroes that we really don't have time to go into the villains. There's really only one of the villains that's not a one-note villain, and if you know like Miles's history, you will know which villain it is once you see this character on screen. In fact, like me personally, I did not know until my friend pointed it out in Spider-Man Homecoming, because this person actually makes a appearance in Spider-Man Homecoming, and I didn't realize that. Like, there is a plot on why all these Spider-Man are coming here into Miles's universe, and that's because of Kingpin, our main villain of this movie. Now, he has a proper motivation on why he is trying to do all of this, but he really doesn't have a good justification, I'm gonna say. It really is one of those, like, hey, like, they got a reason to do it, but nowhere in the movie you're going to feel for Kingpin. Not like any of the other superhero movies, like especially like recently, like Black Panther, or even Spider-Man Homecoming with Vulture. There's no like justification for his actual motivation. It's really just there. It really feels like it's just there to just drive the story. Action sequences are great. I really like the way they did them. They're really cool. They really just pop out. The art is just wonderful. Like, we have the mishmash of the characters. We have just like the backgrounds, and especially once we get into the climax scene, that whole sequence over there just looks fantastic, very artistic. I just could not get over it, and you know, I'm actually planning to go see this movie again because I liked it that much. And now, I am going to say also this. My wife actually came with me to see it the second time when I went to go see it, and she actually ended up loving it, that she wants to go see it again, which surprises me because she's not really into these superhero movies as much as I am, but she was that excited for it as well, and she has not stopped talking about it like me. Another thing I do kind of want to add to, because I want to make sure I don't want to ruin this scene for you in particular, because if you haven't seen it, I really want you to experience it, and like the way I have. But for you guys who have seen it, like, you guys will know what I'm talking about. So the scene where Miles gets his first Spider-Man costume, especially at the timing and the person who's playing the shopkeeper, that whole speech kind of really hit me. Like, it really, I felt it was great. I really liked it a lot, and it was very emotional, and just when it needs to be emotional, especially the timing that was. I really loved that scene. That scene, like, right there just really stood out for me, and when you see it, it'll probably stand out for you as it stands out for a lot of people out there. Another thing I want to add is I'm not a person who likes to tell people, like, hey, you have to stay for the end of the credits. I always feel those end of the credits sequences are such a cheap gag just to get people to stay in the theaters for some unknown reason. I don't know, because maybe they just want people to know who worked on what, but most of the time people are looking at their phones anyway. Well, this one, stay for the credits for the scene. Stay for the credits after the movie. I didn't do it the first time. I did it the second time. So worth it. Loved it. I will I wish I can go back in time and go and watch that scene again when I wish I stayed for it than the first time. It is fantastic. I can't get over it. Like I said, stay for the end of the credits. Alright. Let me know down in the comments below if you've seen this movie, how you feel, how do you like this movie, and just let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you haven't seen this movie or plan to go see this movie. And if you haven't seen this movie, stop watching this video. Go to the theaters now. It is fantastic. I can't get over this. If you have any interest in Spider-Man or superhero movies or just animation in general, this movie covers all three of those, and it is great in all three of those aspects. I really want to know what you guys' opinion. Alright, till next time, guys. See ya. Whole speech kind of really hit me.